Thursday night football, week 7, deep into the weeds of the NFL season, as of course we are. We have a Thursday night football. Ty, we got the Unk Bowl. I think that's actually one of the funniest things going on Twitter talking about this game. Of course, got Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco, the older quarterbacks, getting after it for this one. AFC North, big battle, and we have a spread right now, 5.5. Pittsburgh laying on the road in Cincinnati. Ty, welcome. Talk to me. I know you're a player prop better, but holistically, let's start talking about this game and getting some good stuff out for this one.
Dude, I feel so good about about the Bengals covering. Like genuinely, I feel like this is such a good spot for them. I don't know why. They've gotten blown the hell out like 4 games in a row, or they've been like down 2 scores early, like 4 games in a row, or got blown out. They're going back home in division, dude. Pittsburgh is the fakest 4-1 team of all time, dude. I think that, no Trey Hendrickson's a little bit worrisome, but the Steelers will find a way to. This game will either, Steelers are not winning this game by more than 3 points, I don't think. So I think that the spread is it still at 5.5? Because if it is, I think that's way too high, dude. And I'm not a spreads guy, but I love the Bengals here.
Still at 5.5. Even bookmaker right now, really like a 4.5 penny, an expensive one, circa 5.5. We got Magnifico in the chat going all out the Bengals money line. Ty, is it worth the sprinkle at a good price?
Dude, it is. It is. I agree.
All right, Magnifico, you got some Ty on your back there. I haven't bet anything from a game line perspective in this one just yet. Give me 1 second here, getting out a promo for the boys to get everybody in chat right now. I haven't bet anything from a game line perspective here. And normally, like I do, with Ty and my sake, Ty being a bigger props guy, me just, being a market addict, trying to find value wherever we can. Ty does as well. Do you put any stock into something like Flacco versus Tomlin when there is such a large sample size? Or to you, is that, because obviously new teams, new coaches, new skill players, new O-line, everything, you can go all that. But do you put any stock into like these matchups where you do have like a good amount of history and it is like a quarterback head coach thing, which, there's definitely a like competitive aspect going on there?
Yeah, I mean, Mike Tomlin's going into the game planning for sure. So I think maybe like a little bit. I would think it would be more relevant if Tomlin was calling the defense, but he's not calling the defense, right? So yeah, maybe with like the scripted plays or something, like if Tomlin's had success against him in the past, maybe, Bengals start off slow, something like that. You could sell me on that, but dude, if he's not calling the plays on defense, I think that's like a little overblown then.
Absolutely agree. Just wanted to get your thoughts there because I have seen, of course, we have those accounts on X and other platforms that, love to bring up like trends as well as like, histories. I do agree with you, though, that in situations where like it's like a play caller versus like a quarterback and based on how they actually run their, offense and defense, that's a bit more relevant. But in a situation like this, definitely don't agree. But hi, you have a good call out from Magnifico quickly. Roman Wilson, is he on your radar for today? I know you have some props bet. I have a prop that I've taken so far. We're going to be using all of the boosts, first touchdowns, and everything. Any love for Roman Wilson? I'll pull up some markets for you here as well.
Dude, I was just looking at X on my computer, and I saw some people on some Roman Wilson alts. Dude, I don't hate it. Like, genuinely, I don't think he's going to play that much, but I think he's like the second best receiver. He is the second best receiver on this team for sure. So, like, if he gets like a deep ball or two against a dog shit Bengals defense, I don't hate it. Like, if anyone wants to play Roman Wilson like 30 plus yards, like a alt longest reception, actually, I don't think any of those books have that. Yeah, I don't hate it, to be honest. I definitely wouldn't touch like his like straight bets, his straight lines, but yeah, I mean, if you wanna take a stab at he catches a deep ball against this Bengals defense, like shit, I do not hate it at all.
In times of uncertainty, always hope for, or I should say, hunt for plus numbers. 25.5 right now, plus 255 at FanDuel for Roman Wilson, and the ladder doesn't stop there. 350 at 30 plus. Curious how deep we're going. We're seeing 40 plus at 6-1. I'm going to pull up some numbers here, Ty, for Roman Wilson. Of course, we know not getting a ton of burn, but he's a guy, for whatever it's worth, that Rodgers praised in the offseason, though, is a bit of like a backhanded compliment because if you saw those comments, he basically said like he's got all the talent in the world, but I feel like he's, not playing. He's playing a bit scared. He needs to like kind of come out of his shell. And Roman Wilson's a guy like for any of those draft heads in chat that was like obviously not drafted like ridiculously highly, but was getting lauded by a lot of draft analysts as somebody who was expected to, make an impact. And I drank that Kool-Aid. I have Roman Wilson on my dynasty team. He's a guy I targeted in dynasty drafts, of course, in a bit of a hold. I'd be excited to see him, finally do some stuff here with the season-long numbers aren't going to make you intrigued by him. Just a 20.9% snap share, 3 total targets, 19 receiving yards. You can look at some of the air yardage type of things and see like what his like A dot is and how his game has been going. A 9.3 yards average depth of target tie. So how high could you be comfortable going with Roman Wilson for an alternate prop here?
So Eric, I just did a little bit of digging on X, and the sky might be the limit. So Jeremy Fowler, ESPN reporter, said, one last note with Calvin Austin out at wide receiver, watch for Roman Wilson, second-year guy. He could play a little more tonight. They're slowly trying to bring him along. So I don't hate I think 40 plus is probably the highest I'd go personally, because you're going to get a pretty penny on that, dude. Like genuinely.
It is 6-1 currently, 650 actually over here at Caesars. So if you're a 365, you're getting 9-1 on 40 plus.
Yeah, dude. I like that genuinely a lot.
I just got to see this with my own eyes. I don't have a 365. I'm not in a 365 state, but just for the people in chat who are 365 users, I am absolutely curious to see. PTO's odd screen is always fantastic with this stuff, but when you see a price that's like so off, you always got to take like a bit of a double take here. And their interface is dog, but here we go where Roman Wilson. This is 50 plus, so we can go back a bit. 40 plus. That it's down to 7-1 actually, so it is not that 9-1, but 12-1 for 50 plus yards for Roman Wilson on 365.
And Eric, to be honest, with that report of Roman Wilson, I actually feel comfortable just doing like a straight bet line too now, because I think that with that report, it seems really unlikely to me that he's going to play. He's going to just like not play whatsoever, which I kind of thought was in the range of outcomes, before that.
Absolutely.
So there's I'm looking at some longest reception at 7.5. Look, dude, I kind of really like that, honestly. Against this Bengals team, I mean, that's just one catch, right? And it's I think that's a better way to play it over the 11.5, personally, because he's going to be used downfield-ish. So that's something that's kind of talking to me, Eric, and I might actually play it. I'm not going to lie.
I will play it with you. It's at 7.5 right here, 110 on DraftKings. Best price in market. MGM has it as well. Hard Rock as well for people down in FL. Combi books have it at 112, but if you have a combi, odds are you do probably have it as well at a
Caesars too.
And Caesars as well. So we have a wide majority of market width for this Roman Wilson over 7.5 receiving yards or longest reception. Excuse me. I'm in. I'm betting it right now. I'm on my DraftKings on my phone here, and I'm getting it locked in. The Roman Wilson over 7.5 yards for longest reception. Touchdown stuff for Wilson and a curiosity. Right now he's 6-1 at DK, and again, we have to. Touchdowns are obviously a lot more volatile here, but we're seeing. I was going to say any value circa, unsurprisingly, Ty not hanging a number for Wilson, even with the reports and the injuries here.
Yeah, Circa's not going to have this lineup.
So I'm going to go to a bet that I bet already, and I'm curious the pricing. So I do for no reason, honestly, I do check my line value periodically throughout the day. If I make something, a bit in advance, there's honestly not really probably any value in that unless I'm really looking for a hedge. But if I'm betting just a unit there, I'm, not really losing sleep over that. Hence why I probably shouldn't do it, but I always do it anyway. But normally I do, but I have not done it today. But I bet on a fade of for rushing yards here. I took Jaylen Warren's under. I got it at 52.5. I did see some 53.5, but that was minus 118. I got it at minus 110. Let's see where the market is kind of settling in on here and see if I got any line value. Circa's at 51.5, so technically, but just from your originating, Ty, I know you do a lot of stuff with numbers here. Of course, we're market dependent as well. What's your read on Warren today?
I mean, dude, it seems kind of high due to his just like Caleb Johnson's going to get carries, Kenneth Gainwell is going to get carries. He's probably going to get like 50% of the running back rushing attempts. I mean, the Bengals run defense does suck, but yeah, just pure projection standpoint, I'd probably have it at like 40, 45 and a half or so.
Absolutely. Stat percentage for Warren, 45.8%. Attempt share for Warren, 43.5%. So he is still that running back, lead back. Does get some work in the passing game as well, which is worth noting. But for a rushing prop, of course, not a big deal. At the current market right now, if you had a circa 51.5, obviously circa being a sharper book, they're taking their confirmed 2.2K limits. They're at 51.5. 50.5 under at DraftKings minus 109, but also seeing a Profit X on minus 102. We'll pull up some liquidity numbers. I actually don't need to go to Profit X anymore to look at liquidity because Pick the Odds has all the liquidity for the exchanges at odds now. Relatively new feature. I think I dropped it last week. It's been absolute game changer. But yeah, minus 102, only $190. So, you know, if you guys are interested in tailing, might be a little bit of a competition to get that 190 there. But that's the best price available. But the 109 at 50.5, it's 1 yard less than circa, but it is still better than than Penny. It actually does take more on this prop. So I'm still riding. I don't have any qualms with my bet that I made earlier. I think I made a good one, and I'm putting Jaylen Warren under 52.5 rushing yards on the record here.
Yep, I like that. I wouldn't touch it over. He also hasn't really looked good this year either. Like he's been inefficient for the last 2 years. Ever since Arthur Smith came to town, which is weird because he's usually good for the running game. But I mean, he used to be ripping off long runs left and right. He really has not been like that recently.
He's pretty solid in the passing game. Looking at some receiving stuff, I actually also did bet under 3.5 receptions, minus 150 at MGM, and that's nowhere to be found. So that's a bet where I definitely got some good line value there. On the season, Warren targets, 14 total targets, doing well with the catching percentage being high, which makes sense, of course, when a running back with stuff around and behind the line of scrimmage. 92.89% of his catches are being recorded here. Averaging 3.5 targets a game, 3.3 recs. But I think if that's the median here, especially considering if the Steelers can get a passing game going down the field here, Warren, I think the number is it's shot, unfortunately, now, but I have a fade of Warren. I think Warren's actually a good football player here, but I'm on some unders tonight.
I think it's going to be kind of run heavy and then take shots downfield for the Steelers. Just this Bengals defense isn't they're so bad. It's just going to be a lot of running, success rating them to death, and then they'll take shots out of play action and stuff. But it should be a relatively efficient passing game, which that's kind of how it always is against Cincy, and I think Aaron Rodgers can take advantage of that.
Get the ball out quickly, as we know Rodgers can do now. Of course, really not a threat mobile outside the pocket by any means whatsoever. But Ty, there is a no sweat tonight on DraftKings. Considering all of our talk about Roman Wilson, Will can build out something crazy here.
Yeah.
Really?
Muted. Eric, you keep on going muted.
Freaking mic cord I was telling you about. Unfortunately, I think it's up to I'm going taking off my microphone, but hopefully we'll get it stagnant here. But Ty, we have to have some Roman Wilson alt receiving in this no sweat, right?
Yeah. Oh, dude, 100%. 100%, dude. That's just a great leg. It's an amazing leg to have in.
So we're telling me, continue.
I don't think this Fowler thing went too viral because Underdog never tweeted it. So I think that the market's not fully caught on to that stuff, man. And it's just he's gonna be a down Rodgers loves to push it downfield, and yeah, I think that there's especially on the alts. I know we both played just a straight long reception, whatever, dude. But I think that the alts is good shit.
Magnifico calling out a bit before that his line was 7.5 for receiving yards and has gotten bumped up to this. What is it at now? Realistically, an 11.5 at some shops here. 11.5 being basically more of the baseline. So definitely did get a bump here. And Tony Sense chiming in. Thoughts on Yoshi Vosh today? Do you have any thoughts on Yoshi today?
Yeah, dude. I kind of lean under, to be honest. Which is weird because his line's at 1.5 and he plays the whole game. But the Steelers have given up massive games to like clear-cut number one guys. The
Mhm.
Bengals kind of have like two number one guys, in Higgins and Chase, obviously. And they're also really bad against the tight ends. Like tight ends have like absolutely cooked them too. So it's like good receivers, tight ends. And then like I said, I kind of think that like the Bengals have had so many games recently, dude, with like 45 passing attempts because they just get down by so much. And I
Mhm.
really don't think that's going to be the case. So I don't really see like a crazy high pass volume game. I think that Chase Brown could have a little get right spot personally.
Yeah, I was going to say pre-show you were mentioning a lot of spots for potential for Chase Brown. Of course, we have some Roman Wilson stuff we want to cook um, into this SGP that we're going to use for a no sweat. Talk to us about your thoughts on Chase Brown because you cooked up something for Brown, correct?
Yes, I cooked up two things on Chase Brown. I wonder what the lines are at now. They're two SGPs. One of them was Chase Brown under 3.5 receptions, which was an alt line on FanDuel on the Your Way. It's kind of annoying that you can't bet alt unders anywhere else besides FanDuel,
So
but it
annoying.
was under 3.5 receptions and then 30 plus rushing yards. And then that was like minus 101 at FanDuel when I got it. And then I played under 2.5 receptions and then 30 plus rushing yards as well, which is plus 220 actually at Caesars. So the reasoning behind that, Eric, is one, I already talked about the game script a few times. I think it's actually going to be somewhat competitive and don't think it's going to be some crazy pass heavy script. So yeah, look, Chase Brown, 30 plus rushing yards. I think that in a game environment like that, where I do expect it to be close, I think he's probably going to get like 14, 15 attempts. Like, I mean, if he can't get 30 yards, like, I mean, that sucks. But at the same time, like I already talked about, Steelers are giving it up to like the top options. They're giving it up to tight ends. They play a lot of man and single high stuff, which is not good for running backs. Also, P. Ryan is basically playing every single passing down. And yeah, I just think it's a good sell because like they've just, when you get down by so much, it's like running back dump offs just happen all the time.
Absolutely.
So I kind of correlated on game script a little bit, but yeah, love those little SGPs I cooked up.
When it comes to betting with the Your Way now, like you mentioned, is very frustrating how at this point the books like DraftKings used to actually last year at least and 2 years ago was offering alternate unders. Don't do that anymore. But when it comes to like pricing out a Your Way in a situation like this, like what is your process to be determining that at that point the way that the numbers are lining up that like that is actually like value outside of game script there being like the driving force for making that bet?
Yeah, well, because I don't think he's going to have a good target share. I mean, they just played the Packers, and he had like Packers are like one of the biggest underneath funnels in the league. They were playing from behind against the Packers. Chase Brown had 2 targets, and Flacco had 45 passing attempts, right? So in a good matchup, first game with Flacco, terrible target share. P. Ryan's just playing a ton. So I'm like, I was just looking into the matchup. I'm like, okay, just probably a bad matchup for him. I think that the game script is going to be better than it has been in recent games. And then I like how it correlates. And I just didn't think that FanDuel was really like acting like these were correlated. You know what I'm saying? Like under receptions over rushing yards. So look, I mean, if you break down the numbers, Eric, I'm not actually sure if it's plus EV. I kind of just think it's going to win. But yeah, that's kind of my take on that.
Okay, just out of curiosity there, because I think that that's a good thing. And right now, like I'm messing around with Your Way here, and FanDuel is not allowing me currently to get into it. I don't know if that's a FanDuel issue because I think just like from a quick digression here, just from like a sharp betting standpoint, right? Like right now, you don't know for sure if there's EV on that. Okay, like that's totally fine. But with that being said, especially like when a lot of bettors, when Breck books became very popular, the SGP was the new thing. They found so much value by just throwing together a bunch of different legs that were correlated or not, or inversely correlated, and just kind of seeing the pricing to see if they could find some value in them. Like when you click enough buttons, when there's all these new products, like you can find value. So I am curious, moving forward, more of just like, again, conversationally here, if like the Your Way is going to eventually just have like a ton of value because maybe they are overlooking certain aspects of things that are correlated or inverse correlated and they're just not pricing it properly.
I'll give out an edge right now. This is actually like pretty valuable, to be honest. Caesars doesn't know how to price SGPs
No.
on NFL stuff. Like they actually like they're way off market. They're giving you like 50-40 cents better a lot of the times if you just take like a juice reducer and then like a normal prop. Like you're gonna get like there's something off with the algorithm. I don't know exactly what it is, but they're giving you like way better numbers than normal. So I'll give away a little edge there.
Yeah, shout out to Ty, guys. Let's take some notes there because I do want to mention again, just conversationally here, like Caesars, like oftentimes when you look for like edges on like straight props, like they're pretty in line with the market realistically. So the fact that they're struggling to then, price some of these correlated parlays is definitely interesting, considering that they're fairly competitive with their pricing from a just like traditional standpoint. Like, they're always like on market. There aren't many. They're not like in the 365 and MGM range where at the right time you're like picking them off like it's nothing, and those lines could be up for like 10 minutes before they ever adjust.
Yeah, exactly. So Caesars is a good book.
Yeah, and that's not to say that like they don't mess up here and there. FanDuel messes up here and there. Circa messes up here and there. Don't get me wrong. Like numbers will be off. And I see a lot of times where game lines on Caesars is a good there are some edges where like they're a bit slow to move, but when it comes to props, they're normally like pretty on the ball. So the fact that there is some issues with their pricing for SGPs, I know there's a lot of SGP bettors out there. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah, I'm telling you though, the Caesar stuff, they don't know how to price it. So it's. I mean, just check it out, guys. If you're ever gonna use like a juice reducer and do some like stuff like that, just check the price on Caesars always. Okay.
Just to continue piggybacking this, of course, you want to talk more detail about this game, but this is also we're trying to help you guys become better bettors at the same time. Because Ty, I feel like with Caesars, when I'm betting and like parlaying again, like traditional like baselines, and you're talking about things that are like alternates and or correlated things. I feel like they do a shitty job pricing to try to like not in the shitty as in like they're not pricing it poorly where the better has an edge. They're doing the opposite where they're pricing it to a point where you're wasting your money. They're so far off in like they'll be 10-1 where FanDuel's 12-1, DraftKings is 20-1. So to me, this is just very interesting that you've kind of found this, because I have found where I'm trying to just do like if I do like a 4-leg even -110 with no correlation, the odds should be the same across all books, but they're the ones who are taking a bit of rake on their end.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get to building some fun stuff for this one. We have given out a bunch of props, ties on some Chase Brown stuff, on some Jalen Warren fades here. Talking about Jamar Chase being a potential target, how the Steelers do struggle with wide receiver ones. And as we know, Jamar Chase last week got to the end zone. Going to pull up his anytime touchdown because it's not as egregious. Like last week, it was like +190, +200. And like, I don't care about Matt. Like at some point, Ty, like with guys like Jamar Chase, like if they're priced in that kind of range, it's got to be like relatively an auto bet, because like they're guys who normally sit around like the even money to the +120 range. Even here at +150, I mean, we're in line with Circa, which is never ideal. But do you think that Chase is going to be a beneficiary? Or you think like T. Higgins could be somebody who is getting involved in the action here, as well as from the passing perspective? We did talk some rushing stuff. So from the passing stuff, deep downfield, is it Jamar Chase's world, or is it T. Higgins potentially somebody to target over Chase?
So I think that T. Higgins, I've as soon as Flacco got traded there, I'm like, oh, this is good for T. Higgins, because T. Higgins is obviously like running most of his routes downfield. Chase is kind of yak guy. He's just twitchy as hell. So you get him the ball in space. Obviously he'll burn you deep every now and then, but and then against the Steelers, like I said, lots of man, lots of single high. That allows stuff, the ball to be thrown downfield, unlike the 2 high shells. So I'd probably lean T a little bit, but I think that they're both like valid options, which I also hate, right? I hate when like you can make a case for 2 people, because it's like, okay, I'm just going to pick the wrong one here and the other one's going to go stupid. But I'd lean T a little bit. But what you said about the touchdown stuff, I do agree with that on Jamar.
So T. Higgins average depth of target 13.3 yards, which is the highest in this game, technically, with Calvin Austin being out, who has 14.6 average depth of target on the season. And Ty, I think it's a funny thing that you just mentioned, because it's like there's a situation where you're like, I don't know which guy to pick. Then I feel like the obvious answer is to then go to the person who's throwing them the football over deciding which one is going to be catching the football. Any interest in any Joe Flacco passing props that we're seeing? 232.5 at Circa, looking like the baselines at DK is 235, and FanDuel, where's FD at? They're even lower here. Clearly, I definitely missed it here. But any interest in Flacco at this number?
I kind of like his longest completion over at 32.5. I don't hate that. Usually, like for like you're throwing to T Higgins and Jamar Chase, and you're not a complete dog shit quarterback. Like, you should probably be around like 36.5, 35.5. So I kind of like that. Overall passing yards, Eric, I'm kind of like sticking on my point though, like, because it wouldn't shock me if like this is just a game where you don't get like insane passing volume from Flacco, and you're kind of like, I mean, if you look at his attempts, dude, he's been averaging like 39, 40 attempts and stuff. Like, what if you don't get that? Like that's kind of what scares me a little bit.
And of course, you have to price in like the change though. Thinking about it though, right? Like, it's not going to be a direct comparison here, but Kevin Stefanski loves to run a passing offense. We saw him sling the hell out of the football when in Cleveland, as well as Dylan Gabriel still coming out of the gate throwing the football. And we know that Joe Burrow, when he's healthy in this Browns offense under Zach Taylor, they sling the football like it's nobody's business. And even Jake Browning does get some high passing opportunities as well. So maybe at this point, we're seeing a 36.5 pass attempt line for Flacco, seeing it juiced to the over 120 essentially everywhere here, 122 at FanDuel, 114 though at Bookmaker, 121 at Penny. Obviously with 30 minutes to game time here, I wouldn't be able to do like the deepest dive into this as I'd like to, but I definitely think this is a good data point to see if they just continue to play within their methodology, as in the Bengals. And Flacco, of course, one of the slowest quarterbacks out there and a statue back there, but we'll sit back there and we'll just throw the football around all like he's playing on Thanksgiving with the nephews over there.
Yeah. I agree. Hey, Eric, I have another prop for this game too.
Call it out. Let's do it.
So one person I think the market's undervaluing their role is actually Noah Fant. So I played him over 3.5 receptions. So Mike Gesicki's out. We all know that, to be honest. I think that matters like a little bit.
I think it does too.
Most importantly, no Tanner Hudson, Eric. I don't know if you've ever like randomly turned on a Bengals game and seen like Tanner Hudson get 3 targets in 5 minutes of game time, but like Tanner Hudson like is a pretty good tight end, and whenever he gets the opportunity, he's going to be taking up targets and stuff. So no Gesicki, no Tanner Hudson. So they're left with Drew Sample, who is like a pure blocking tight end, and actually a lot of his snaps are like as a fullback or even in the backfield just as a blocker. And then some dude named Cam Grandy, who if Cam Grandy plays a ton and I lose my bet, I'll hold the L because I don't even know who that is.
Exactly.
But Fant's like been super involved. Like actually the tight ends for Cincy always have like a really high targets per route ran. Like they're always just like underneath chilling. So Fant has like a 26.5% targets per route ran on the year. Flacco is projected, by the books for about 40 dropbacks, right? Because, sacks count as a dropback and stuff. So like if you can project him for like a 25% targets per route ran, which is under a season average, and the Steelers are allowing the 7th highest target share to tight ends, that's like 28 routes that you project him for with a 70% route participation, because I think he's going to be pretty full-time, right? And then
Absolutely.
so 70, this is like pure math, Eric. This is some nerd shit, dude.
I love
but
it.
Like 0.25 targets per route ran at 28 routes ran, that's like 7 targets of projections. So he also has an 89% catch rate on the year. He has like a 2.8 ADOT. Like it's just all underneath shit. So yeah, dude. I think that he gets like 6 or 7 targets. I think he runs like 70% of the routes, and it's a good matchup. I think that realistically, like if he gets 5 targets, that should be good with what his catch rate's at and what his ADOT's at. So yeah, I mean he's hit this line in 3 out of 5 games with like barely playing any snaps. So I'm a big fan of this one.
Absolutely. Let's I think at this point as well, we should look at some alternate reception markets, because if we're building out a no sweat at DraftKings, might as well take a little bit more plus chicken here. Do you agree?
Dude, I don't hate it.
Let's take a look. So 4.5, 175 at DK, 182 at FanDuel. Again, B365 with the 2-1. Well off market here. Novik with a 103 for his base odds here, but only 168 bucks of liquidity there, but pulling it up entirely. 114, 692. Some contracts just moving there. Actually, some of that just got bought. Went to 104 from 103. So some of that 103 that was just there on Novigtai. I don't know if that was just you swiping in or somebody listening, but that just got eaten up.
Nice.
But we have a 30% boost on FanDuel. We have, again, no sweat on DraftKings. We're going to bet some anytime touchdowns. Some first touchdowns, and we have the $2 million bonus pool as well on FanDuel here. I'm interested in the Wilson stuff. I think Fant, if we're going to go with 4 catches, we could potentially definitely go with 3. With 5, especially at 182. Let's start building some stuff out a little bit more. So, just for clarification, though, did you play straight the Fant over 3.5 receptions, and what price did you get it out of curiosity?
Yeah, I got it at minus 107 earlier in the week. I think there's like a minus 114 at FanDuel. And also, of course, Novig right before kickoff is going to have some pretty good stuff, I would assume, right? Yeah,
we got 700 plus bucks there. Even Profit X 571. So this Noah Fant minus 104. Absolutely something that I'm going to be betting myself as well. So we have a couple of plays locked in. We have all the I have the Jaylen Warren under receptions as well as rushing yards. Ty has some of the stuff with Chase Brown going under receptions over rushing yards, and then Roman Wilson over 7.5 longest reception. So that's a lot of the fun, like, of the basic stuff, I guess, per se, that we have, for lack of a better word. Of course, you're trying to find value, and that's the key. But it's definitely down to cook up some of the more fun stuff as well. I got to get this Noah Fant in. So let's look at some of these first touchdown odds out of curiosity. I think with Wilson, I do agree that like betting a touchdown is probably ridiculous. Like you're better off going with some alternate yardage there. That's more fun. First tutty for Fant, 22-1 at DK, but it's also at FanDuel, 20-1 circa. But for those who do have MGM still, they have that second chance promo. The 22-1 for Fant first touchdown. That's a bit intriguing. Is it not?
Dude, I don't hate that at all. Dude, there's I was actually coming into this like Scott, like, but also now with like the Roman news, because like Scotty Miller was like playing a lot, which is like weird. He doesn't do shit, but he was like someone I was thinking about. But with the Roman Wilson news of, you know, potentially playing more, he'd be taking his snaps. So I was thinking about some Scotty Miller goofy stuff. But yeah.
Any love for Darnell Washington in this one?
I think his lines are efficient. So Tomlin is like giving prop bettors like an edge here, dude. Like, so when he said it like multiple times, when they play a 4-3 defense, obviously they want some blocking in there. So he said, like, I mean, the Bengals are a 4-3 defense, so they played 2 in a row. And yeah, so he's gonna play a lot here. But I think his lines are, you know, accounted for it at this point. And one of these weeks, dude, whenever they play a 3-4 defense, not a 4-3, like the best SGP ever of like Freiermuth overs and Washington unders is gonna feed families.
It's gonna feed families. Unfortunately for me, last week, I had Freiermuth under 1.5 receptions, so that ended up cashing. I also had Connor Hayward anytime tutty, and he was able to connect. So that was the 7. Thing is, it's funny because I was actually square, which is, you know, it's going to happen to the best of us. I was looking at an odd screen. I saw it flash. It was like 17-1 at MGM, but it was like 9.5-1 early on. So I'm like, okay, easy click. And then, of course, the market ended up completely flip-flopping, where by the time it closed, it was 25-1 everywhere else and 17-1 at MGM. I saw that crappy ticket. I'm like, all right, it's a very small wager on an anytime touchdown. Like, I lost a lot of line value, but like, what are you going to do? I tried to attack, ended up making a bad bet. Next thing you know, first touchdown of the game, it's my best boy, Connor Hayward. So that's an example. Again, the bet won, but it was a bad bet, which unfortunately we're all going to make. The goal is to make as few bad bets as possible and make as many good bets as possible, regardless of win or loss. But Ty, DK Metcalf, let's see, 850 circa first touchdown. At that point, that's, to me, not worth it whatsoever, considering the rest of the market. Jermaine Burton, obviously trash. What's Chase being priced at? See, Chase at 9-1, it's in line with Circa, but like when you get like a Jamar Chase kind of guy at 9-1, it's always so intriguing to me, even though it's not like the sexiest, but for a first touchdown. But like it's Jamar Chase, man.
Yeah, it is Jamar Chase. Yeah, dude. I mean, it is Jamar Chase at the end of the day, dude. So you couldn't talk me off it. Let's not act like this Bengals offense like can't look halfway competent, you know? Like
I 100% agree.
Like our brains are like rotted because of how bad they've played. Like if they come out here firing, like I'm not going to be surprised if they're like up like 10-3 after the end of the first quarter or some shit, or like they score the first touchdown. I would not be surprised.
So, Ty, we've already spoken about how, from a spread perspective, again, I know props is more of your bread and butter, but I think holistically do want to talk about it. So, the Steelers closed 6 last week at home against the Browns. They're now 5.5 in Cincinnati, yet you like Cincinnati. But is the market not saying at this point that the Browns are better than the Bengals? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, dude. The Browns on the road are a joke. They're a really good home team because their defense just like turns the hell up. Dude, I just think that like, I mean, are they saying that I mean, they probably are saying they are saying that the Browns are a better team, but they're also upgrading the Steelers and downgrading the Bengals though, like week by week, which is weird because the Bengals actually covered the spread last week.
They did.
So, yeah, Eric, I agree, man. Like the more I think about it, dude, like I just feel like if I would feel like such an idiot, like betting a spread. What is it? 30 minutes before kickoff. Like I don't have an edge, right?
Absolutely.
It's just me trusting my gut. So
absolutely. But the thing is, and I will just like, I'm not pushing back on that because it's entirely a fact and it's true. But that being said, if you don't have an edge, and a lot of people when it comes to NFL spreads and totals, don't be like embarrassed you don't have an edge because finding an edge in these are very difficult. You actually probably are better off betting right before kickoff because you are betting the most efficient line. So like, yes, it's a losing bet over the long run. You're paying -110 on a coin flip, but you'll probably end up losing less in the long run because of the fact that you're coin flipping. And this is dead serious, right? Like people that were putting together like their crazy SGPs just to try to get that dopamine hit, as well as, capture potentially betting, 10 to win 100. Like you're going to lose $100 quicker than betting 10 to win 11 to win 10 on 10 different spreads than on 10 different parlays by betting on NFL spreads right before kickoff. Is that not true, Ty?
Dude, I mean, it is true. It's just like funny the way you said it. It's like, hey, just bet it before the kickoff. You'll lose less.
I mean, listen, like, of course the goal, or at least a lot of people in this chat, like I'm hoping the listeners here of Ty and I are in the position that like you're trying to become a better, you're trying to find some edges, you're trying to not donate and help FanDuel, build a new wing on their NYC office. Like that is hopefully the goal here. With that being said, if you are just betting within your means for fun, which is nothing wrong with whatsoever, and you do decide you want to bet on the Brown-Steelers spread for whatever reason, knowing you have no edge, at that point you are definitely better off betting it right before because that is the most efficient number, and you're betting on a coin flip, and hopefully, eventually you're going to have some go your way, you're going to have some go the other way, and you're going to lose on the vig if you're betting within your means. It's no shame in that if you're pricing in that factor into your betting, into your bankroll budget.
Yeah. Dude, Eric, I just want to bet the Bengals so bad, dude. I'd be like shocked if they don't cover.
So let's pull up, because if there's a 6 that's better than 120, would that be enough to move the needle here? Of course, let's see, that's 7, 6. The 125 though is just, it's not it. So like 125 doesn't equate for the Bengals. And I mean, if you had Penny, you can get a 119, which I guess would be worthwhile there. But unfortunately, at this point, of course, this close to kickoff, no deals to be had on like a Cincy +6, 119, 120 at a recreational book, unfortunately.
There's a 6.5 at no vig. There's about like 1,500 of liquidity on, actually more, 1,500 of liquidity at -127. I don't know if I'm into juicy spreads though,
Yeah, that's kind of like the point I was making there, especially when you do compare the odds. Like just another bit of game, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but if you're betting like +3 -110 and like you want the hook, but the hook is 125, the 3 is actually a better bet than the 125 for the paying for buying points is like generally a very negative EV thing. But with that being said, like say there was a 6 that you could buy at minus 120 flat, considering the market at 5.5. I think at that price, 120 is like the cap of where it's like potentially like still a good bet, and the better bet is actually to get the one to lay the 120 over like the traditional 110.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I agree with you completely, dude. Just buying points. Yeah. Buying points is super minus EV. Just don't do that.
Super minus EV, absolutely. So Ty, while you were going for a bit there, I decided what I wanted to use my FanDuel 30% boost on, and I went with what we talked about earlier, though I did water it down, as the kids like to say. I went Roman Wilson 30 plus receiving yards, Fant 5 plus receptions, 30% boost, plus 1096.
I like that, dude. I love that.
So I have my Fant. I also did bet the Fant first touchdown 22-1. So those are some stuff. And like I tail tie earlier on the Fant over 3.5 receptions, minus 104 at Novig. We both bet the Roman Wilson longest reception, minus 110. And again, I do have some Jalen Warren fades. He has some Chase Brown fades as well. But Ty, we have a no sweat. How ridiculous should we get with this no sweat?
Let's get pretty ridiculous. Is there anything crazy that you like?
So I'm honestly like, I was looking at Fant stuff like earlier. So like I'm definitely a lot of confirmation bias here, but like your love for Fant definitely has me a lot more intrigued on Fant, as well as like why I'm like pretty which is why I've been played him the way that I did play him. I wanted to pull up something as well. I'm looking at my computer quickly because I did see some other stuff. What are your thoughts on Jonnu Smith? Because I saw some value earlier today and bet it on his under receptions as well.
Yeah, Jonnu Smith's weird because he played a pretty decent amount. I don't like the overall pass volume for the Steelers here personally. I really don't have an opinion on Jonnu, to be honest. I just don't have an opinion on him, to be honest. I think it's probably accurately said.
No, that is totally fair. And Darnell Washington also saw some value on some under 2.5 receptions, but I did see value earlier today, and I was looking at a different projections set. So I wasn't originating here, but one that I was intrigued by. And I saw a bit of love for some Aaron Rodgers over 1.5 rush yards. Ty, how much do you do in terms of work for pricing out these statue quarterbacks in these, potential situations to quite literally scramble a singular time and hopefully then not get screwed on kneel downs at the back end of the game?
Yeah, dude. Usually I like to correlate scrambling with pressure, and I don't think they're going to get pressure without Trey Hendrickson. So I think that's going to be something that makes me think that. And then I guess by the books, they are 5.5 point favorites. They also don't win by margin. That's kind of a recipe for, likely 4 kneel down, or not likely, but in the range of outcomes, kneel downs.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
So looking at the total here, 44.5, some books 45.5. Considering an anticipated potential like rush heavy approach, but also both teams realistically being susceptible to allowing big passing games. Based on where the total is sitting at, I am definitely feeling a lot more. I feel like a lower total game would actually benefit Pittsburgh more than it would benefit Cincinnati.
Absolutely. It would. You could correlate something like that too if you wanted to.
So again, thinking about some of this no sweat stuff here, realistically would have to, because there are minimal alternate unders, if any alternate under some of these books, would have to be something more in line with some touchdown scores, some alternate receiving yards, some alternate rushing yards, maybe even some passing touchdowns. What is Joe Flacco at? I'm out of curiosity here. Flacco is getting plus chicken for 2+ passing touchdowns, which is not like crazy, don't get me wrong, but is a bit interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean Chase Brown is just not a good goal line back either. I don't really have an opinion on that, dude. I can't tell you the last time I bet like a passing touchdowns prop, to be honest.
I have not really bet a ton of them this year either, but just again, looking some just general pricing here, bookmaker having the best number in market and FanDuel, Not looking like there's anything to like pick off potentially here, but always have to go through the exercise here of looking at some of this stuff as well. So I guess this is another just like process question for you, Ty. Of course, you're creating a lot of your own numbers. You're using the market to help you, dictate and finalize things that you want to play. But if you, for example, right, you're using pick the odds, you haven't bet any touchdowns, you haven't even, dove into really pricing that out, but you saw a rogue number, are you just betting it and not thinking twice? Or because you didn't do any other due diligence, are you like, just not even gonna ignore a rogue number?
Before kickoff, I would bet it. Like a truly rogue number. But if it's like a rogue number, because to be honest, rogue numbers at like FanDuel would like scare me a little bit. Like I don't even know if that's like a value thing, because usually I know a lot of people just like to devig to FanDuel. But
Yeah.
like, so if you see a rogue number at DK 365, MGM, maybe even Caesars, before like right before the game starts, where you're not gonna get CLV. Yeah, I think that's fair. But dude, if anyone here is just like trying to have fun betting and bet some props for like a long term and not get their accounts cooked, like betting rogue numbers like early, I think I wouldn't do that personally. It's not worth it. Not worth the account risk.
Not worth the account risk. That's a great caveat there, because like, will those bets be profitable? Probably. However, if you can't eventually bet them, then your edge is zero, because if you can't bet, then do you actually have an edge if you can't bet it? The answer is unfortunately no.
There was a glitch line at FanDuel live bets, and like it was a receiving over for receptions. They like tracked it to the wrong guy initially, and FanDuel had it out as the wrong person. But if you watched it live, you know like who caught it. And I didn't even play it, dude. Like I literally could have gotten free money. I don't know how much, like my live limits aren't going to be anything crazy, but I was just like, is this worth it, bro? What if FanDuel sees this and 1% limits me? Like I'm not doing that shit.
It's that's the game that we play, like, honestly. And I think a lot of people need to like recognize that, especially when you're getting more into like whether it be originating or EV betting, utilizing tools like pick the odds, where you're, finally, maybe for some people for the first time in your life, understanding the market and seeing it all go down in real time, that it cuts to a point where the actual betting of the actual price discovery and edge finding isn't the hard part. The hard part is maintaining accounts, and to some degree that is a skill thing as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It is absolutely a skill thing. But like right now, you see a rogue line, like absolutely, dude. Like go ham at it.
Yeah. Ty, we also have this the $2 million bonus pool. For those, I'm sure everybody here is familiar with it at this point, but on the FanDuel, place an anytime touchdown. If they score the first or the last, you get a share of $2 million in bonus bets, $1 million for the first, $1 million for the last. We've come so close a few times on the show to cashing on one of these guys. Excuse me, absolutely makes sense to one, pick somebody with, relatively high plus odds, because you don't want to be betting on somebody who, I mean, just for your potential for bonus share, but also there is some game theory here for, for example, if this was expected to be a massive blowout, maybe betting a backup running back to score because it could be the last touchdown of the game in potential garbage time, et cetera, et cetera. Let's dive through some prices here for some anytimes. Is there anybody, again, like, considering you're not just like trying to find the edge at any time, there is a promotion here that is piquing your interest potentially for this promotion?
Absolutely. So I already used my token.
Yep.
Ben Skoranek.
Okay.
He's like, because Eric, I think that you got to think about the EV in this, dude. Like if my guy actually, scores the first touchdown, I want it to be like someone that I'm actually getting a good like share of the pot, dude. Who the hell is betting on Ben Skoranek? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like the sleeper guy is going to be Roman Wilson, because people are going to see that little news thing from Fowler and whatever, and they're all going to pick Roman Wilson. They're going to pick Noah Fant because Gesicki and them are out. They're going to pick, like, I don't know. I don't think people are going to be picking Ben Skoranek. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
Plus 1,000. He's a blocking. He's a beast as a blocker, right? So they like to use him. They get into the red zone and are running the ball, play action, little leak out for Skoranek. I'm Bezos. Simple as that.
And he does have a score this year. I think it was early this season when he scored. I think it was in that Jets game, maybe week 1. But he has seen pay dirt with with Aaron Rodgers. Looking at Yoshi Vash, I know you don't project like a massive game for him.
That's gonna be
550
crazy.
though, with DK hanging at 6.5 to 1. Even though again, like I wish I had a better feel for like actually calculating like the EV of like the promo, because like it will always feel gross to me to like if I do go with Yoshi Vash to like not bet a 650 and bet a 550, though of course there are much bigger stakes on the line here as well.
I think people will bet Yosivas though, but I actually do agree. 650 feels kind of crazy for someone who plays like 85% of the snaps, honestly. Um, but I think people will play Yosivas because he plays so damn much. So people are just gonna see a high number and they're gonna be like, oh, this dude plays like 90% of the routes. Like let's just pick him. So I think that for like the EV of I think that he's someone that will be picked in the jackpot personally.
80.1% of routes run, though, a 7.7% target share for Yoshivash Bataille. Like, of course, like we're talking about a crazy promo that odds of hitting are unlikely. To what, and of course, like with being an entry point of just $5 for most people, most bettors, like, it's not really much of like a major thought here. But to like what degree do you throw out like it's like kind of like Survivor, where you're like trying to anticipate a bit of the public, and
Yeah,
like
it is. It
in
is.
some cases you might end up screwing yourself, or like big branding yourself into a loser. At what point would there be a situation that to you it's like this price is just wrong? I don't care if it's popular. I'm intrigued.
Um, Ch- Chase, if you wanna do that, I think because well, we already looked at the price of Chase, right? And it's just like we
Yeah.
kind of agreed like Chase is like top 2 receiver in the NFL, and he's priced like a average Joe to score a touchdown. So I would probably say Chase. Like I said, I really don't even spend much time looking at touchdowns until I'm on here and we're thinking about the jackpot. Yeah,
No, I'm in the same boat. Unless again, I see like I'm on the EV screen to pick the odds, and I see
yeah,
a 5%er pop up, and I see like some crazy price to Circa and to FanDuel and Penny, and even to Kalshi, Novig, and Profit. And then I'm just like, all right, like the name on the back of the jersey means nothing to me. The price of that is what is intriguing me to bet that.
yeah, oh yeah,
Going to go through the EV screen quickly here because, of course, we've been doing some things manually, but we do have like automatic EV calcs to scan the market. I have it set up for the entire weekend. We are just going to focus on this game. If you want all my prop talk tomorrow, live stream, and Sunday live stream. But let's just see quickly here if anything is flashing. I just click Browns. We got the Bengals. Browns are not playing tonight. Let's see what is showing up here. A lot of 365. So an alternate on Jonnu Smith here. Maybe not alternate, but 29.5 to Profit, FanDuel, and Kalshi. That's a 120 with the market at like 106. Ty, does this fit like your mold of like, all
yeah,
right, it's about to be game time? Like this is clearly a rogue number. Like bet that
yeah.
shit and don't think twice.
Absolutely. I mean, 26 cents off FanDuel. Here, go back to that real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, 26 cents off or yeah, or no, that's more. 30. I don't know where the hell I got
12,
26.
32.
Yeah, 32 cents off FanDuel. Is there any other like Caesars is way off? Even like it did. If you're beating Profit X and like Novig and shit, like that's yeah, I mean 100%, dude. Plus 120. I'll bet that right now, dude. That's just a
Yeah.
good bet to make. Like honestly. You're
And
gonna
with
when
Kalshi as well, I think again, this is like a deeper discussion, but still curious your thoughts here. Like, are you going to start utilizing some Kalshi, Profit, and Novig in your DVIGs, Ty?
yeah, dude. I mean, here's the thing. You if you're getting a better number before, because right now there's so much liquidity in the market, Novig can be pretty rogue, like with openers, right? I mean, when there's no money in the side, that those numbers are irrelevant. Dude, before a primetime game, these Novig numbers are accurate, I would
Yep.
think.
Absolutely. And also, again, PTO having the liquidity here, so you can see what the prices are and how much liquidity there are. So you can make those decisions by looking right here on PTO, like, okay, like it's only $161, which for a prop market really isn't horrible realistically, especially on a Steelers tight end where, they deploy 3 of them. And of course, you have guys like Jamar Chase, DK, and T who dominate, liquidity or like market or in general interest here. But no, absolutely. So
And
just
what
seeing
was
what
that
else.
EV one? 30 plus for Janu?
Yeah, it was Johnu 30 plus. Because again, like we saw, it was a slow move from PTO
Yeah, someone
earlier.
snagged that.
But we're seeing a 120. It was 30 plus though.
Yeah, I'm seeing it's plus 100 now, so someone got in on it.
Yeah, I'm also on pause there too. So like it could it's still showing as there. So
Bet365's API. I'm buddies with someone who like runs Props Madness, which I'm sure you're familiar with, but
of
that has
course.
like an API in there to get all the odds. And Bet365 is like really hard to scrape apparently. So
Yeah, they make it very difficult to scrape. But we are seeing Johnu 30 plus at Rivers or Combi Books plus 108, which still is where's the EV to that, which still is 2.5%, 2.4%. So like not nearly as attractive as what we were potentially seeing with 365 there. All right, so let's go back to the manual. Of course, again, not shocked to be seeing very small amounts of EVM props this close to game time. Still need a first touchdown scorer for the Steelers because I locked in Fant, and of course a touchdown for the jackpot. Ty already used that, and you went with Skoranek.
yes, sir.
I'll have the Fant first, and I know we do like to double down here as well, but like for a game with like so many potential pass catching options, I honestly might not even bet a Steeler and just like lock in Jamar Chase too at 9-1. Like I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. No, why not, dude? I'm 9-1 for Jamar Chase. Like, yeah, you're not gonna get much from me complaining about that.
No, it's so enticing, man. Especially when you have that's anytime I was gonna say. Like, wait a second, that's wrong. Jamar Chase being priced as the second highest receiver on FanDuel. We have DK being number one there, which is not really surprising. Ty, how have you been like I guess like a process question quickly here. Like you see a guy like DK who, had a bunch of big plays to sustain his like over receiving yard numbers, but then comes back last week and has like a more traditional, for lack of a better word, game where he's just like cooking all around. When do you, I guess, like draw the line between like, okay, something's unsustainable, or it's like the guy's still a good football player? Like maybe you give him some leeway that he's not just like a big play guy, boomer bust, where he's going to only live off of like 75-yard catch and run touchdowns, which are obviously not going to happen every single week.
Yeah, so I remember like a specific example. I made a bet last year on Cedric Tillman, who was like, seen as only a deep guy. Going to like NFL Next Gen Stats and looking at people's route trees, which they don't always post them, but seeing like route trees, I think is like more so, and just like targets per route ran and route trees and stuff. Of like you can have a good targets per route ran, and you're not just like running the same route over and over again. I think that's like a sign of like this person can actually be sustainably good.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Needing any time here for this promo, like DK, I'm just curious pricing as well at this point. 135, 140. And for a no sweat as well, Ty. We could go some Roman Wilson. We can go some as well as some Chase Brown, which we talked about earlier. We talked about a bunch of Fants, though I use like a boost on Fant. Don't know if I really want to double down for like diversity's sake, for like the fun sake of it. But any
Hey, real quick, Eric, we're getting some pretty damn good CLV on Roman Wilson. The underdog just leaked the Steelers hope to get Roman Wilson involved stuff.
let's see longest reception here. So this means like let's see if his price is moved. So looking at FanDuel, still I would DraftKings still 6-1 there. Longest reception here. Did this number move from the 7.5 that we got it at?
It's
Just
not
a bit ago.
what the yards are. So it's like I think that just because everyone sees that news and goes bets the yards, right? They're not thinking the longest reception, right? They're just thinking the yards. So I think that's like this is really plus EV right now, in my opinion. You usually when someone's receiving yards, especially a receiver, is like 14 and a half, 14 and a half, 15 and a half, dude. You're gonna see the longest reception at 10 and a half. So I think that this is like mega plus EV, Eric, and I might even scale up a little bit on how much I'm betting on it because feel pretty good about it.
Absolutely. Just to confirm, we got it at 110 though to go to 115 for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, worth a little bit. Still, I like this should be Eric. This line should be 10 and a half. Trust me, I've been I've been gouging the longest market all year, and every time you see someone with a 14.5 line, that shit's at 10.5. So I feel like this is a pretty damn good value.
I
But
love that. I love to hear that as well. Where to go for some of this fun stuff? Of course, we're so close to kickoff here. I'm sure a lot of people watching have also, already locked some things in, but of course, we do want to, finalize just a recap for everybody for what we've played so far. We just talked about Roman Wilson, longest reception, 7.5 over. I bet some Warren under 52.5 rushing yards. We bet Fant over 3.5 receptions. I bet Fant first touchdown using FanDuel's 30% boost. Roman Wilson 30 plus receiving yards. Noah Fant 5 plus receptions. I also bet Fant and Jamar Chase first touchdown. Not betting a Steeler. And Ty, remind us of what build your way SGPs you built on Chase Brown.
yes, sir. Under 3.5 receptions and then 30 plus rushing yards. And then that was minus 101 at the time I got it. I think it's probably going to be a little bit worse now because I know his yards went up, but like that down to like minus 110. And then I played Chase Brown under 2.5 receptions and 30 plus receiving yards at Caesars, guys. And like I said earlier, Caesars is struggling to price SGPs with the props right now. So yeah,
So
right over there.
Definitely make sure you're looking at multiple books here. Again, Wilson at 14.5. And like our buddy Magnifico called that back at 7 and 10. He said about an hour ago. So around 6:10, his actual receiving line was at 7.5. So the market definitely did catch on there.
Yep.
Okay.
Underdog
So
something, it just goes crazy.
yeah, absolutely. That's where vast majority of people are getting their information from. Those sports books presumably are getting their information from quicker than that, but maybe at the same time they're not. Maybe they aren't getting it quicker than that.
Yeah.
So we've gone through this entire game. We have, of course, a bunch of stuff that we've played so far. We know that kickoff's right around the corner here. Ty, give us a little bit of just hype for the NBA season here because we're about wrapped up on the show. So you're a big NBA bettor. Ty's group is live and ready to rock. Give us some more. Give us just a little bit of some NBA talk to fill the void here right before we hop off.
Yeah, guys, NBA is so much easier to bet on than NFL. Knock on some wood here, but I mean, just like objectively speaking, like obviously it is. There's way more games. There's so much injury news. There's so much opportunity to find an edge, in my opinion. It's like NFL, right? There's 16 games a week. I mean, there's not even 16 games a week right now because of buys and stuff. So I mean, NBA is just fun. It's I highly recommend you guys like truly learn to know ball in the NBA too, because what I found is when I've truly learned ball and learned schemes, learned game plans and things to that extent, and coupled that with, good research tools and, having all the data points when players miss and, understanding market timing, that's when, betting on props becomes a whole lot of fun. So buckle up, guys. It's going to be a long season, but it's going to be a whole lot of fun, guys. NBA is the shit. There's just so much opportunity with how many games there are.
Ty and I will absolutely be doing some NBA content together, and Ty is definitely one of the sharpest people in the entire industry for NBA props. I'm telling you, Ty, on the touchdown on the jackpot, I'm going Skoranek. I don't
need it
at this point. Like there are certain things where, and this is definitely a square way to think about it as well. But like I was on stream the other week, I built honestly, like from a pricing standpoint, it was ridiculously off price. It was just a negative correlation play. And I was like, listen, like I'm staring at this, and like if it doesn't hit, I'd be more mad that I didn't bet it, even though I'm probably donating, $10 here on a no sweat, which I'm getting back anyway. So like for whatever that's worth, but it's like I'd actually rather lose than not play it. And don't fall to that FOMO. That's not good betting advice. Like definitely don't bet when you don't have an edge. But with that being said, I can't help myself sometimes.
Neither can I, my guy. Neither can I.
But that's gonna wrap it up for us, boys. Really appreciate everybody tuning in. Very great stream. Ty and I always do a stream once a week here, so make sure that you guys check it out. Make sure you go follow Ty on X. And also subscribe to his YouTube at Straight Betting. It's some really great YouTube content. If you're watching on YouTube now, also subscribe to Go Bet Smart as well. Hit that like button on YouTube. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys for a stream tomorrow, and of course Sunday, boys. Let's cash some bets and have a great Thursday.
Yes, sir.